defense, but we might have to recruit him for that. They would probably argue all day. It's up like over who's the best singer. They probably care more about that than their football skills, some of these guys.
Andy, last year against New Mexico, obviously defense got put into some tough situations, but also they had a lot of long plays against you guys. But this last game, they only really had one.
Mm-hmm.
What was different, and what were you most proud of about what your defense did last week?
Well, I think the guys, they felt really comfortable about the plan. We'd spent some time on it, and shoot, luckily it paid off, and they felt good about where they were supposed to be aligned, the things they were supposed to be seeing, and how they were supposed to react. Obviously, we had the long, explosive run play early on, which was on me because there was something new, that we were in a call that wasn't designed for the zone. It was more designed for the veer, the dive scheme, which they had done out of a certain personnel. So we obviously got that adjusted and made sure we didn't get in that situation again. But the guys did a heck of a job. They really did, and they played fast, and that's what happens when you feel comfortable.
After the game, Tanner was talking about, just being disciplined and buying in and all that stuff. You made it sound simple, but it kind of wasn't necessarily simple against the triple option the last couple of years. The approach in terms of what you're doing to maybe drive things home differently.
Well, we spent a lot of time on it, and I think we as coaches we always joke around. It's all in the presentation, and how you communicate it to the guys, and the simpler and more clear you can make it to them, obviously the better they're going to feel about it. And so for us as coaches, that's our goal, and that's really what we spend a lot of time on is how are we going to teach them, how are we going to relay this information to them, and then obviously our guys, they're eager, they're great learners. That's one thing we talk about here is just teaching them how to learn and having the ability to learn.
How big of a hurdle was it just to go against the triple option and gain the confidence that they can go against it for 4 quarters?
Yeah, no question. It was great for our confidence, obviously, to be able to go out there. Last year we did pretty solid against the run game, but obviously had too many explosive plays in the pass game, and when the Blues were on the field, our first team was on the field for the first 3 quarters. We feel like those guys played with a lot of confidence, and as always, it's not going to be perfect, but guess what? It was very much improved, and they felt good about it. That's the most important thing. The guys felt good about what they were doing and what they were doing out there. And even on the long run play, they came to the sideline, and we should have got out of that. We should, the adjustment was already made. We didn't even need to say anything to them.
With that, I was going to ask some of the guys about it. I think you were at Colorado in 06. Is that right?
Yeah.
When they won the festival, do you remember watching it, and what was that kind of like as a former player? And
yeah, no doubt. No, I was actually at the game, and
okay.
So it was awesome. Yeah, I got to go to the game, and just being away from the program for a few years there, and then obviously that was the biggest bowl game we'd been to, and probably the biggest game we'd been in. And so having the opportunity to be there was awesome with a lot of the former players and alumni, and sitting in the stands down there where a lot of that stuff unfolded on that side of the field. It was a good spot to be. It was fun.
How much have you noticed things what that game did for this program, and once you came back here? The buildings have changed because of it and all that stuff. How much has things changed because of that one game?
Well, I'll tell you what, the expectations are definitely a lot higher because of that one game, but that's just kind of where we've gone, not only as a program, but as a university, as a city. Since that game, 10 years ago, the university's grown a ton. A lot of great things have happened to the community here, the growth in the community here. So I think as a whole, not only for this football program, this athletic department, but in general, it's kind of, I feel like that's just kind of the culture around here, the mentality. There's high expectations, on this campus, and, we just got to keep pushing forward.
I asked Zach this as an outsider looking in. Did that game change the way he viewed the Boise State program? He said it did. But I'm interested, as you as a former player and as an alumnus, did that change the way that you viewed this program and what this school was capable of at an FBS football level?
You know what? It didn't really change the way, for me personally, and I don't think for a lot of our guys. It kind of maybe, obviously a lot of people want to say it put us on the map, but the people that are around the program and all that stuff and been around here. It was very significant because we were able finally to knock off, in a Fiesta Bowl, a very, very good football team. But for us that had been around here, I mean, that's just it's the way we've been. I mean, the underdog. We always want to see ourselves as the underdog, and that's the mentality we're going to take.
I know there's been, obviously memorable football games. Vince Young versus USC, Doug Flutie, Hail Mary. I don't know, a number of them. But do you think there's like a more talked about game? I mean, it seems like everybody you ask, whether they're a football person or not, seems like they've watched this game and have a memory of that game.
Yeah, no question. There's no. I think you're right on with that. I mean, this game is that game. 10 years ago, you could run into people in the airport and they're going to talk to you about the Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl game. So I think it still sits with a lot of people, and for a lot of people, that aren't even huge football fans, when they see Boise State, that's what they still think of.
With Colorado State, obviously, the quarterback got hurt. Stevens, I know you guys have a little familiarity with him, but what do you make of kind of their offense?
You know what? Their run game is really, really good. They do a great job up front with the O-line in the zone-based schemes, and they will run, some gap schemes and stuff, but they do a really good job fundamentally and schematically up front. Obviously, that helps the quarterbacks. The quarterback that got hurt, he's a good player. For two freshmen, wherever they went and got him from the East Coast, that guy's he's a good player. Obviously, that's unfortunate. We played against Stevens last year, and obviously he's very capable of running their offense. He's done it. He's done it well. They got a good mixture of run-pass stuff that complement each other. So not the triple option, but you're still getting the same issues, right? You got to be able to fit and stop the run, but at the same time, you can't be going screaming up in there and have the wide receiver or tight end go screaming past you, So.
They have three running backs that have some decent numbers, as opposed to us that, like Nichols, has the lion's share of the numbers. Differences, similarities in the three backs that come in there?
Well, I mean, Dawkins is a little bit smaller, but very quick and explosive. 35 Matthews is bigger. But I'll say this: the consistency in those guys, they have great vision. In that zone scheme, they got great vision. They're patient. They let their O-line do the work, do their deal up front, and then boom, they hit it. That's the consistency between those guys. The similarities, maybe not the size, type of runners, but their vision's very good.
A lot of the things that you talked about before the season, you're talking about simplification, eliminating kind of the gray, making it black and white and all that stuff, and that's what the players have kind of said, and that's maybe enabled them to not give up the big plays, but also get some of those young guys in there. How much has that kind of trickled down? Just that mindset you've tried to establish, and how that's kind of worked out to your success?
Yeah, I mean, just all the way around, trying to create that confidence, so that guys feel really good about what they're doing, so they can play fast, communicate on the field, play with great eye control. I think the other thing that it does too is we got to build depth, and maybe sometimes simplifying is the easiest way to get some of those younger guys in there, where they could do some things and do it well, instead of trying to do too much and then we can't do anything well. So for us and where we're at in our defense, and with some of the younger guys that are stepping up, there's no doubt. I think with everything we do, it's got to be black and white, and I think sometimes it's better to do what you do and try to do it well.